All right, ladies and gentlemen, good Wednesday morning, day 3 of our full throttle training. Love seeing the president and the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State on stage at the NATO summit. Man, we have so much to cover today. We got to stay on time. I have there's a film crew coming at 11:30 from Fox. What's the channel where they do all their documentaries and stuff, whatever it's called. They're doing a documentary on General Kane, Raising Kane, and they reached out to me and they're coming to interview me for I forget the name of the title, Who's Raising Kane or whatever it is. So gotta make sure I'm on time here because I got to go clean up and get ready for my close up with Raisin. Okay, let me get rid of that. All right, so. Flight schedule, we've knocked out our welcome aboard brief, some options basics. There's only, as of jumping on a little while ago when I updated this slide, there's 14 memberships, and then we're closed. This will be our final day of full throttle, and then tomorrow will be solo Amazon. It's a separate standalone service, kind of the gateway drug if you really just want to dip your toe in, because we only trade, wait for it, Amazon in that portfolio. So that'll be tomorrow, but today is the last day of full throttle. So no exceptions. Once we get our 25, we're done. We covered a bullish on America trade. How'd that trade do yesterday? How's that trade doing right now? We did a trade on the S&P 500 years out into the future that for a small limited risk investment today could potentially make nearly 6 figures. If you did one contract, if you did multiple contracts, hell, you can make $300,000, $500,000. This is how the smart money trades. If you didn't see that, I'll give you the replay page here in a couple minutes or a couple seconds. Today, we're going to talk about synthetic stock. Speaking of NATO summit, we're going to, long-term bullish on the defense stocks. Israel's out of weapons. We're running out of weapons. Did you see General? Who was it? It just flew out of my head. Whatever. Hey man, we're dangerously low on our weapons, and of course, in open setting, he's not going to say anything beyond worse than that because China's just going to go, "Oh, that's great to hear. Thanks for letting me know, General. Execute invade Taiwan order." So, and then we're going to talk about psychedelics. We are going to talk about healing. Did you see? I don't care about Jerome Powell testifying yesterday. Why? Because there was a secretary who testified yesterday who made my heart smile. And you're going to be blown away. Hopefully you saw what the secretary said publicly yesterday. And like I said, tomorrow is solo Amazon, separate service, but that'll be the final day of a week of full live trading and training. Here is the replay page right there. Let me click that. Copy. If you didn't see anything, scroll down and that's the previous date. There's a welcome aboard. And then obviously the newest video is going to be right in the top right there. This replay will be right in the top and then yesterday's will move down towards the bottom. So all the replays end up on this page. Okay. Fox Nation. Thank you, Karen. What was that question about SIBO? Can you do the bullish on America trade with SIBO? Thomas, what you can do is a synthetic stock, which I'm going to show you on Raytheon in a little bit once I get done with my little bit of an intro here. Okay, before I get started and get airborne, I want to ask you all, 150 people and climbing in here, who woke up this morning full of gratitude? Who woke up this morning and said, thank you to whatever, fill in the blank. I choose to use the word God. God, the universe, Mother Earth, divine, Steve, I don't care, whatever. Did you have any gratitude this morning for waking up? You most likely had a roof over your head. You maybe had a cup of coffee. Maybe you had some loved ones or a pet. You have clean running water. And clearly you have the internet or a cell phone. Do you know how lucky you are? Full of gratitude. I woke up this morning full of gratitude. Okay. Then, shameless plug. Where is it? I took my Maverick Mind. We'll talk about this at the end, but I microdose. After healing with the medicine 4 years ago, I microdose. I came out with my own line of microdosing products, 100% legal. It doesn't have psilocybin in it yet because psilocybin's a felony, right? This stuff will save and change your life. Alcohol, tobacco will kill you. Psilocybin's a Schedule 1 drug, Wiz. But alcohol and tobacco are A-okay. That is changing. And did you not hear the Secretary of something yesterday say it publicly? I can't wait to tell you. Who cares about Jerome Powell? So I took my Maverick Mind. I take 2 of them now. I went up from 1 a day to 2 a day. And I do 5 days on, and I take the weekend off. Why? Because God's a smart pharmacologist. You can't take a ton of it. It is physically impossible, first of all, to overdo it on any sort of plant medicine. But I stagger it. And then meditated, 20-minute morning meditation. Then I went and just got my ass kicked in hot yoga. It sucks. It's a 60-minute hot vinyasa. Okay. I'm in a live trade brief at Top Gun Options, and this guy's talking about stuff that has nothing to do with trading. And you'd be absolutely wrong. How many of you need, Wiz, I'm in this brief because I need to make money. Need comes from a place of lack. If you are not centered, if you're not feeling okay, you're going to be miserable. What did I tell you 2 days ago? When I make a shitload of money, how am I? Okay. When I lose, I rarely lose a shit ton of money. When I have a losing trade, how do I feel? Okay. If you are not centered, you're going to get destroyed. Did you see Ray Dalio? Ray Dalio years ago, he's like, I do 20-minute morning meditation. I do a 20-minute, I do it at 3 o'clock, right around 3 o'clock. I do my afternoon meditation ready for the closing bell. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not trading centered, if you're not okay, you're going to be miserable. If you couldn't be happier when you're printing money and you feel like you want to jump off a ledge when you lose money, you're awful. And I'm going to help you with all of that. Okay. So we're going to talk about all that stuff today, but I just wanted to get airborne and say, man, okay. So you don't need anything other than a roof over your head, running water, and some shelter, and a little bit of love and some food. Okay. But I get it. I need to make money. Well, the mortgage ain't paying itself. I get that. But you have to trust. You have to know, you have to believe that things are going to work out exactly how they are supposed to. All right, quick strategic, operational, and tactical brief. Here we go. Democrats just completely lost. They're wandering around a desert. I didn't hear an effing word out of these people when Barack Hussein Obama he did more drone strikes and killed people than any president in the history of this republic. Libya, Syria. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember Barack Hussein Obama killing Americans in drone strikes? If I was an attorney general, I would indict Barack Obama for murder today. There is no statute of limitations for murder. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say the President of the United States can be the grand jury, judge, and executioner. Well, I don't care if, this Muslim American dude took up weapons and he was fighting. I don't care. Remember, these are the same Democrats that said, oh my God, the Supreme Court just gave Trump like immunity so he could order SEAL Team 6 to kill Americans. You didn't say a word when Barack Hussein Obama killed Americans in drone strikes. The President of the United States of America killed Americans. I'm not going to say not a word out of the Democrats. Ron Wyden of Oregon, wherever, they wrote great articles like, I support this. Trump drops 14 bombs on nuke sites and comes home and says, we're going to get a peace deal. Their faces melt off. I can't stand hypocrisy. I can't stand it out of Republicans. I can't stand it out of Democrats. It's a disgrace. Anyway, now what do they have? They were trying to, you see the impeachment yesterday, the vote, like 100 Democrats voted against it. They're just, they're unserious people. So here's the next line of attack. Well, even if he did strike, the strike wasn't successful. The DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, do you know how many intelligence agencies they are? 17, I think, at last count. They might have popped up some new ones. You mean the same DIA whiz that told us that COVID just kind of randomly sprung up somewhere, maybe in China? What? Read my book, COVID Crash. I told you that COVID, I told you in December, January of 2019, 2020. I did outsider trading. If you listen to me around the COVID crash, there's millionaires at Top Gun Options. I made $2.5 million in about 3 weeks. I said it escaped from a level 4, the only level 4 weapons lab in Wuhan, China, into the wet market. How? Because they were experimenting with COVID. Why? Does anybody remember what was going on in 2019? I'm going to brief you. Hong Kong riots. Do you remember all the democracy riots in Hong Kong? Hell, people were running around with MAGA hats on. There was spray paint on walls in Hong Kong. Patrick, give me liberty, give me death type of shit. They're running around with US flags. So Hong Kong, kind of an island. What else is kind of an island? Taiwan. So I have it on the ultimate authority. They're like, dude, how do you keep people from going out and protesting every weekend? Do you remember the Hong Kong pro-democracy protest? Xi Jinping staged half his army like across from Hong Kong ready to invade. How do you keep people at home on 2 islands? You get them sick. You release a virus on these islands, but you have the antidote, right? So you'll quell those riots. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. When you experiment with deadly pathogens on animals, what do you do when you're done with the animals? You burn them, whiz. That's exactly right. What happened in Wuhan? The scientists left for the night probably and said, hey, Xi Jr., make sure you go burn all those dogs or monkeys, in the furnace. Oh, okay, I will. Dude didn't. Man, I can make $20 with these dogs and monkeys at the wet market. That's what happened. These intelligence agencies lied to you, ladies and gentlemen, and it's an absolute disgrace. So I'm ranting for no reason other than I don't care what the DIA says. What was the confidence on this alleged report that was leaked? Top secret report. Low confidence. When you get an intel report that has I've read these things. They go right into the shredder. All right, so let me start reading this. It's low confidence. Shred. So, ladies and gentlemen, now the media and the Democrats can't even congratulate the president on a successful strike and maybe peace in the Middle East. Now it didn't work. Do you want us to go back and go to war? Wait, no. And which one is it? And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't think that, so it's these people are so dumb, right? The effing Mossad, folks, was in Iran. When they got the go order, they launched drones from inside Iran and took out a bunch of surface air missile sites. They killed generals in their bed, all sorts of shit like that. You're telling me that the Mossad, who more or less knows everything about Iran, is like, oh, wow, I can't believe we missed a bunch of trucks potentially leaving with the nuke material inside. Are you stupid? Did you not see Netanyahu the other day? He's like, we pretty sure we know where it is, and it's in an interesting place. You know what? The first thing I thought of when Netanyahu kind of did that, I'm like, the Mossad's got it, most likely. Do you not know, and you can look this up on your own, that a high-ranking general turned out to be a Mossad guy? He's in Israel right now, safe with his family. Come on, folks. So again, I'm laughing at this because these people would complain it's not hot enough in hell. This was even funnier. The Iranian whoever flew to Moscow the other day didn't get anything from Vlad. The Iranians are effed. He's in his own 3-year meat grinder. He was buying a ton of Shahed drones, right? Iran built a drone factory in the middle of Russia, like Siberia or wherever it was, in the middle of nowhere. Ukraine blew it up recently. So when they went to Vlad a couple days ago and said, "Hey, what's up, brother? You little help." Yeah, what time's your plane leave? So I Tehran was promised military aid before the strikes, but what did Vlad say? Did you see him? We should try to be focusing on peace. Wow. Holy crap. And the Wall Street Journal, or the New York Times, I mean, U.S. attack on Iran injects uncertainty into an already uncertain economy. What? The S&P 500 was up almost like 1% the other day. Oil is down. Are you guys looking at the same things I am? Inflation's down. You hear Jerome Powell in front of the House yesterday, like, "Oh, the economy's solid. I'm not doing anything right now. I'm waiting for things to break." So this is stupid. Partisan. Here we go. U.S. races to defend Israel as it burns through missile interceptors. This is June 20th. I've been saving this article. This is 5 days ago. What have they been doing in the past 5 days? Allegedly, they've stopped in both sides. The truce, this fragile truce, is holding a little bit. But they, in the past 3.5 days before the ceasefire went into effect, they rippled through more interceptors. Oh, by the way, we shot a bunch of interceptors out of Al Udeid Air Base. We are out of weapons. Kind of heard we'd have maybe 2 weeks if something went with, full-blown Taiwan. I don't know why we'd race to defend an island on the other side of the world. That's a separate conversation. So NATO leaders agree to a 5% hike. Holy crap. What was it? It was 2.5%, wasn't it? I even forget. But ladies and gentlemen, do you remember the first term of Trump? He was going to leave NATO. He's like, "You guys are deadbeats." I love when him and Angela Merkel. Let me get this straight. You get 70% of your energy from, say it with me, Russia. Yet I'm defending you against the person you're getting 70% of your energy from, and you're a deadbeat. You haven't paid your NATO bills. You're at 1.5% of your GDP spent on military. What am I doing? This NATO alliance is stupid. I'm out. Democrats, "Oh my God, how dare you?" What? Ladies and gentlemen, as a student of military history and politics and foreign history, do you remember what Secretary of State James Baker said after the wall came down? What did he tell Mikhail Gorbachev? You don't have to type it. I'll tell you what he said. Not one. Oh, and also with Ukraine. Hey, Ukraine, give up the nukes. The nukes that are in your country, they're Russia's. They're, not 1 inch east. That's the exact quote. James Baker promised NATO. What are you talking about, man? The wall came down. We're buddies now. We won't expand. NATO 1 inch east. We went all the way up to Vlad's doorstep. So I'm an impartial observer of all of this stuff. You got to tell me, if the Warsaw Pact, the opposite of NATO, was still around, and they expanded into Canada, they expanded into Mexico, and they took over Cuba, how do you think we'd all feel? So that's where I am in all this stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, when I see headlines like this, you're out of missiles, and you guys get to bump up your defense spending. I told you this yesterday. That better equal a trade to you. If that doesn't equal a trade to you, you have no idea what you're doing. That's why you got to be here. Whenever I see a breaking news headline or this or that, I go immediately to, what's the stock? How do I trade the options? How can I profit off of this? Okay? Does that make sense? That's what you have to do. Okay. I'm not even going to waste too much time on this. Did you see Powell yesterday? I love some of the Democratic Congress, crazy congresswomen. What's up with inequality and this and that? I'm like, there were some incredibly stupid questions. It's so funny. People like, how do these people get elected? I'm like, have you seen their districts? Ilhan Omar represents the district from Somalia. People don't understand how our republic works. How can a woman like her get elected? Did you see the 80,000 Somalis that Obama flew into the country? Yeah. Oh my God. I forgot to talk about this. Give me 1 minute. I don't care about New York City ever again. I care about them as souls, and they used to be my former Americans. I'm done. Could you imagine on the morning of 9/11, like after the towers came down and everybody's choking on dust, say, hey, like I'm from the future, like 25 years into the future, an immigrant, Muslim, communist, socialist is going to be the mayor. Could you imagine? I just looked at some of the stories this morning. 40% of New York, the people in New York City, are not Americans. They're not. They're. So I'm stunned. I don't care. I have to stop caring. Barack Hussein Obama once famously said, "Elections have consequences. Enjoy your consequences, New York City. I don't care. I, honest to God, don't care. Actually, I do care. I care because the homes, I'm on this real estate thing in South Florida. They're like, we're going to start donating money to that candidate. The home values in Palm Beach County, where I live, are going to skyrocket. It's so funny. All these limousine liberals who are like, oh, yeah, he'll be great for us. I remember that, Barry. Yep. Unbelievable. So Powell was lukewarm yesterday. Inflation has eased significantly, but it's elevated. What? You cut 50 basis points in front of the election when inflation was going up. He's a raging partisan, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Those who can't work in government. And we obviously know Trump was ripping him apart and reading the riot act. Did you see FedEx this morning? Not good. First of all, I flew for FedEx for 10 months, a year, close to a year. God bless Fred Smith. Fred Smith passed away 2 days ago. He was a Marine in Vietnam, Marine officer, great American. He got a C minus on his Harvard Business School report on FedEx. Typical, those who can't teach. What did the professor say? This'll never work. But anyway, here's a wizism, ladies and gentlemen. Financials and transports tend to lead us in to good and into bad, and also out of bad. Doesn't that make sense? If the banks and the Wall Street firms are starting to suck, that's a canary in the coal mine. If the transports start sucking, that's also a potential canary in the coal mine. Okay, so you got to keep your scan in this market going. I look at all this stuff, folks, but FedEx imploding, and you shouldn't be trading FedEx. It's stupid. Why? You trade Amazon. What are you talking about? You're going to learn tomorrow that Amazon Air is bigger than UPS and FedEx. Why would you put all your eggs in a single FedEx basket? You literally are in one basket if you just have FedEx stock. Amazon has FedEx in it and everything else. Amazon Web Services, Amazon Prime, Amazon Pharma, Whole Food. It has everything in Amazon. So this was interesting, because I see the economy is kind of okay right now, but this is a canary in the coal mine to the whiz fighter. I mean, can you believe right now we are 50 points away from all-time highs on the S&P 500. We are, what is that? A 0.5%? We are a 0.5% away from all-time highs. If you didn't buy here, folks, you're a fool. You needed to be here at Top Gun Options. We added to our synthetic stock on Amazon, SIBO. I did some JP. Man, holy crap, these things are printing money. Okay. Another lesson, I showed you the S&P 500 charts yesterday. Buy every dip. Until when? Until the Fred Sanford, folks. You're going to know it. You're going to know when the big one is. It's when the Fed just print money isn't going to work. It's when JD Vance or Marco Rubio 6 years from now goes, we're broke. We officially have to default on our debt. Then I'm going to pound it into the dirt. It's going to make the COVID crash look pleasant, okay? Until further notice, barring something absolutely horrific, and I hate talking like this, but I will. Another scandemic, plandemic, more biological warfare out of, hell, Iran, North Korea, China. It's cheap. I remember, when was it, a decade ago? I forget, man, I heard intel or like they found in Algeria or someplace crazy, like 25 Al-Qaeda dudes dead at a camp from Ebola. You want me to freak you hell out real quick? It takes 3 days for Ebola to manifest. They were trying to infect guys to get them on airplanes to come to every major city in the U.S. You want to not be able to sleep at night? Do you remember I think I heard this around the time. Do you remember the 1 or 2 doctors, U.S. doctors, got sick in Africa helping, and they flew them to the CDC in Atlanta? They closed like the city. Do you remember this? Like the highway from the airport. I'm like, oh my God, for one person. It's like the most deadliest pathogen on the planet. If you don't, and again, I hate talking like this, but I have to. I'm a fighter pilot and I'm an options trader. You got to be ready for these type of things, folks. I'm talking about what would be a black swan event, a pathogen, an Ebola outbreak in the U.S. You think COVID was bad locked in your home? Ebola, you're going to have tape around your windows and your ducts. I mean, holy crap. So, okay, let's not talk about that anymore. But barring something horrific, every dip is to be bought. Do you understand me? Give me a vertical head nod. We already talked about this yesterday. Waller, he's the Fed chief in waiting, most likely. He's hitting Trump's high points. I'd be cutting rates in 3 weeks from now. Hire that guy. He's most likely going to appoint somebody early so he can, Jerome's literally a lame duck. Okay. Already talked about that. We'll talk about Amazon. Oh, that's right. Tomorrow, this was an Amazon workforce thing being replaced by AI. Okay. Let's do Raytheon super quick because I got to end with psychedelics, baby. RTX, Raytheon. Let's go look at the chart. It's giving a little bit back. Good. We're getting it at a discount. Look at this monster run. Okay. We ran up into earnings. How were the earnings, Wiz? They were disgusting. They were fantastic. Well, why'd the stock gap down? Because you don't know what you're doing. This is called buy the rumor. I think they're going to have really good earnings and sell the news. Then what happens? It took off. Now, I love this. Why is the stock pulling back? Well, right there is when Donald Trump said, I got a peace deal, 12 hours, peace deal. Nobody does peace deals better than me. And then walked out to the helicopter yesterday. This is the first time in my 56 years on this planet I heard a president publicly use the F-bomb. Apparently Joe Biden would use it like parsley and seasoning, every other word in private. That guy would have. Did you see Chuck Todd on a podcast the other day? He's like, we were sold this man from Scranton who took an Amtrak home every night to see his family. And was it all bullshit? Of course it was all bullshit. The Biden crime family. Anyway, you don't need any commit criteria on Raytheon. I've just given it to you. We're out of missiles. Israel's out of missiles. Our allies are promising to spend more money on defense. European defense stocks are rallying. I don't trade them. I trade this one, Raytheon. You can look at Lockheed Martin. You can look at Boeing, Northrop Grumman, L3. There are a bunch of different defense contractors. I like Raytheon. Okay. Boeing's got a lot of commercial airline stuff involved. Can you believe that 200, I forget the exact number, I should, let's round up and say 300. 300 people died in an Air India crash on a brand new 787, and it disappeared from the media. Now, I get that war is going on and people are dying, but my latest intel, I thought it was going to be human error. Positive rate, gear up. And the first officer with about 1,000 hours of experience, that might sound like a lot. It's next to nothing, considering. Instead of raising the gear, raise the flaps. I have new intel that says there was an electrical failure that caused the fuel control unit, the electronic fuel control unit that schedules fuel to the motors, failed. And they rolled back to ground idle. Do you think the public would like to know, flying on a 787, that this type of electrical failure can cause the plane to crash right after takeoff? Anyway, that's why I wouldn't trade Boeing. So let's go. You ready for this? Aaron, this is what I'm doing right now. So, Wiz, I love what you're saying. I don't know anything about options. Therefore, I want to buy 100 shares of Raytheon. You're a chump. What? Why? Do you have $14,000 to buy 100 shares of Raytheon? If you do, don't do it anyway. I'm going to teach you a tactic that's going to, because remember, folks, if you're new to options, one options contract controls this 100 shares of stock. They made options in the 70s, folks, because the Wall Street white guys with their cigars in the back rooms were like, how can we, I don't want to come out of pocket 14 grand. I got an idea. Why don't we have a contract that says for a certain period of time, you can control this 100 shares of stock at a certain price? I like it. Let's come up with calls and puts. So, ladies and gentlemen, the tactic I'm about to teach you very quick. Why? Because when you join, you're going to go watch the options weapons school training that takes an hour. I take an hour to an hour and a half showing you how to do this. So I'm going to go medium speed because I have other stuff to talk about. If I lose you, I might skip your question because you can go watch and get a deeper dive. And then when you join, if you have any questions, you jump on the app or online and say, hey, Wiz, I have a question about this. So let's cruise. This tactic is called synthetic stock. What does the word synthetic stock mean? It means you don't own the shares. You're not buying 100 shares, which means you don't get two things, and it's two things I don't care about. First of all, since you don't own the shares, you don't get the right to vote. You're not a shareholder. I'm pretty sure your lowly 100 shares of Raytheon isn't going to get, your vote's going to be worth 0.001 of something. It's insignificant. The other thing you don't get with synthetic stock is this, a dividend. It's 1.92%. I can find that in my couch. So the two things that I wouldn't get with synthetic stock, I don't care about. Let's roll. So instead of spending $14,160, let's go look at the options chain. So I'm going to hop in my time machine. You ready? We're going to go the speed of light all the way out to Jan of 2027. Why? Because that's as far out in time as I can go. I want as much time for this trade to work out as possible. Reminder, I only do synthetic stock on names that are going to move up and to the right. I've already given you the commit criteria why I'm doing this trade. All of those things are solid for the next couple years. Let me be perfectly clear as Wiz, not as Gordon Gekko. I don't want this. I want Raytheon to go to zero. I want peace. I don't want people turned into hair, teeth, and eyeballs. War is never the answer. Okay, now shut up, Wiz. I want to go out as far in time as I can because I think Raytheon's going to go up and to the right. Okay? Now, what I could do is I could buy 1 January of 2027 at the money call. What's that mean? Right now, Raytheon stock is hovering about 142 bucks, okay? The closest strike to that is the 140 call. So I could buy a single Jan 27 140 call. How much is it, Wiz? $2,130. I just saved you $12,000. I want that to sink in. If you know nothing about options and you just trade stocks, Tell me why you'd rather spend 14 grand over 2. You can't. If you want the 1.92% dividend, I feel very sorry for you. I just freed up $12,000 in capital to go do something else with. I'm not done yet. I just showed you that buying a single call option is bullish. When you buy an options contract to control 100 shares of stock, you believe it's going to go up and to the right. Okay? Now, somebody needs to sell me that call option. They are on the other side of the trade. There's somebody all the way out saying, you know what, Wiz, Raytheon is going to zero. I'll sell you this option. And I think they're idiots. But that's what makes a market. That's a call option. Now, some of you, if you're new to options, you've probably heard, something's going to go down. I should buy a put, right? Buying a put is like insurance. I think something's going to go down. I want to protect myself. I'm going to buy some puts. So technically, buying a put means you're bearish, right? Amazon's going to implode. I'm going to buy some puts. Okay, you're bearish. Who's on the other side of that trade? Somebody has to sell you that put. So that means that person thinks that Raytheon's going to go up. So why don't we sell an at the money put, the 140 put? So ladies and gentlemen, we went from $14,160 coming out of pocket to $2,130 coming out of pocket to $690. I want that to sink in. I just saved you $13,000. I should be hearing virtual golf claps right now. Everybody sitting here, except my current TGO members who know what they're doing, should be like, oh my God. Now, if you're still sitting here going, I'd rather trade stocks, you're an idiot and you should most likely leave this brief. Why would you spend 14 grand when you can spend, I'll round up, $700? Let me go show you a picture. This is the most basic P&L diagram. If you bought 100 shares of Raytheon today, that's what your P&L diagram looks like, profit and loss. Underneath it is the exact same thing. That is what the options position looks like. Okay? Now, the smart people, my current TGO members, immediately looked here first. Wow, Wiz, the max potential loss is, $14,700. Hey, Einstein, what's the max potential loss if you bought 100 shares of Raytheon today? 14,000. It's the same max potential loss. Raytheon going to zero means you lose your 14,000, whatever, right? Duh. Because some people are like, oh, wait, that's a lot of risk. What do you like? Thick? It's the same risk as if you bought the shares. But I'm about to cook. And first of all, look at this. What's the probability of that max loss? 0. It's Mr. Blutarski's GPA from Animal House. 0.00000, and there's probably a 1 at 15 decimal points. The odds of Raytheon going to zero in the next couple of years is never 0, but it's almost impossible. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put what I call a disaster put or a protective put underneath it. What would be a disaster? You ever watch CNBC? And I hope you don't. But the stock market is down 20%. It's in a bear market. Or, ExxonMobil stock is down whatever today. It's officially in a bear market. It's down 20%. Okay. I'm a political science major from South Jersey. I like easy things. Let's buy a put 20% underneath the current stock price. What is that? 14 and 14 is 28. Let's say 30. 140 minus 30 is what? 110? Somebody can do the math better than me. I don't care. It's pretty damn rough. Let's buy a single Jan 27 put underneath it in case the stock implodes. Okay? Now look at what happened to the trade. Hey, the cost of the trade went up a little bit. Yeah, it did. Why? I just bought some insurance, baby. I just put an ejection seat underneath Raytheon. Raytheon ain't going down 20% in the next 2 years. But this also helps me with margin requirements. Because if you don't buy this disaster put, E-Trade or whoever you trade with is going to go, you're on the hook in case you lose that 14 grand. It ain't going to zero. I don't care. It potentially could. So watch my call signs whiz for another reason, not because I'm a wizard, but look at the magic I just did. Instead of risking 14 grand buying the stock or just doing synthetic stock, what happens when I add a protective put? 4,100 bucks. I want to pause for effect. If you're a stock trader going, oh my God, why would I ever? I just answered it. You will never buy another stock again in your life. Unless you want to, there's a high dividend stock and you're retiring. I get it. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of trading options. On your screen right now is synthetic stock with a protective put. How many of you would gladly come out of pocket 1,200 bucks today for Raytheon? Me. I'm not done yet. I have one more thing to do. Let me be clear. You could just do this right now and put it in your filing cabinet and look at it in a year or 2 years from now. And I'm pretty damn sure Raytheon's going to move up and to the right, and this is going to be printing money. I deploy a bunch of these ships. When you join, you're going to see I have one on Amazon. I have one on Raytheon. I have one on CBOE, CBOE. I have one on JP Morgan. I have one on Bank of America. I think that's it. These are like 5 ships in my long-term bullish ships. We are in the accelerated retirement brief. I have 5 or 6 bullish ships that are deployed right now. Okay. Now you could just do that, or you could do this. I'm cheap. I want somebody else to help pay for this trade. So I am going to sell what I call a front month option. What's Friday? June 27th. I could, and let's pull up the chart in the background. It kind of looks like we're back to 142, which was resistance back here. It might turn into support. I could sell a Friday call this Friday at the, I'm going to give me a little bit of breathing room. The 143 strike. What did that just do? It brought down the cost a little bit. Exactly. So every week, unless the stock's on a tear, if Raytheon's on a tear, I just sit there and I smoke my cigar and count my Raytheon money as it goes up. Okay. Like right here, last week, I would have been selling a Raytheon call. I would have just enjoyed my profits. Now that we've pulled back a little bit and we've leveled off, you could sell a call out to Friday. When you sell this 143 call out to Friday, ladies and gentlemen, you're putting a roof on it. You're saying, hey, by Friday's close, Raytheon's not going to be above 143. Okay. Now, I don't have enough time to go into all sorts of details about managing that, but I'm going to warn you, do not let Raytheon expire above 143 on Friday. You need to close that. Okay. You don't let that happen, because you're going to wake up Saturday morning, negative 100 shares in your account. So just manage it. Hey, Wiz, it looks like Raytheon turned around. Trump just announced on the NATO summit, he's the CEO of Raytheon and the stock's rallying. Get out of the way. Just close that call and smoke the cigar and count the money on Raytheon. Okay. Remember, I'll say it one more time. If the stock is on a tear, what's the definition of tear? You're looking at it right there. Get out of the way. Okay. This is kind of a gentle climb schedule here. That would be a tear. All right. Again, in your synthetic stock training in Options Weapon School session 6, this is an hour to an hour and a half training. I don't have time to spend any more time on this, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a screenshot of this. Why? Because I blasted out. It's going to be an alert. It's going to come right to your phone on our app. Okay. When you join, not for free people, clearly. Okay. RTX, what's today's date? RTX 625. Save that to my desktop. And then we're going to cruise into my next subject. If you have questions on this, you need to join and you can ask me. Other than that, if I don't have time at the end, I can't answer your question. Again, you're getting another demonstration of why we limit to this round. I'm only taking 25. Well, not anymore. It's 14. It's actually 12. Phone buzzed twice during the brief. I get a little bit of an alert. So let me just demonstrate that real quick. Where's our group? There's the hunters. You can get access to the hunters today. And I think all my current members already have this on. So they're going to already see this at everyone. When I at everyone, all 269 members in here are going to get this trade as an alert. Then I'm going to move on. Got to make sure it's in the right thread. The trade alerts thread down here. Yep, trade alerts. All right, so this is for new full throttle members. Can't spell. Okay, man. THRO. All right, how are we doing on time? I got about half an hour max left. And again, I'm going long because it's full throttle. I don't sit here all day, folks. I do an hour brief and I go live. New RTX. Yesterday, I didn't shoot any snipers. Why? It wasn't a sniper day. We hovered the entire day. I don't gamble, folks. I only trade when I'm pretty damn sure I'm going to make money. Otherwise, I'm sitting on my hands. Same thing right now. The SPX it's doing a hover. Jerome's talking. House was yesterday. He's going to be talking to the Senate today. So maybe he'll. You bet, Mitch. Greeley, it's called Go Collab. Go on the Apple Store or the Android Store, and it's called Go Collab. GOKOLLAB. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a cruise. Let's shift. Look at this headline. Brought tears to my eyes yesterday. Literally. For those of you that know me, you know this headline brought tears to my eyes. RFK says Trump administration could provide psychedelic therapy to military veterans within 12 months. I have been busting my ass for 4 years after I got my ass kicked on a mattress in Mexico 4 years ago last month with Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor. Seen the movie or read the book. Jared Taylor, JT, one of the founders of Black Rifle Coffee. Great dude. JJ's a Top Gun Options member. He's a Navy SEAL. He was a teammate with Marcus. And then Robert Gallery, All-American from Iowa, played for the Raiders. He was on death's door. I just saw him out at Psychedelic Science speaking. He's a different human being from the man I saw. You guys can listen to my Max Afterburner podcast, episode 7. I have so many things to talk about this. I just don't have time. This is the most explosive sector ever. Whenever people, I don't drink anymore, but if I'm at a cocktail party, people are like, hey, what's the next hottest stock tip? The only hottest thing for the rest of our existence is this. I stopped going to DC after 2 years. Why? It's disgusting. There was a Republican congressman who shall remain nameless from Florida, who's an appropriator, who said, Wiz, I love what you're doing. You're going to have a problem with the big pharma and the alcohol and tobacco folks. And I looked at that guy and I said, isn't that your job? What are you talking about? I'm going to have a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 years after I sat with the medicine, Trump's VA secretary meets with psychedelic therapy advocate to discuss expanding access for military care. There is me, and there is the secretary right there. He answered my tweet. I poked him, folks. I said, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" So I went from the border 4 years ago to the Beltway. I met with Secretary Collins. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Wiz, if anybody's going to get this done, it's going to be us, and it's going to be now." That was an incredible couple days when I went there last month. Where is it? The next day, these two lawmakers I met with, Lieutenant General Bergman and Congressman Correa at the National Press Club. I'm trying to find whatever. You guys have seen my picture with the secretary. I'm not lying to you. Trust me. Where is it? Oh, there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the only, there it is, the only sector you just, there's no money in healing. Do you understand me? Did you see the Fox News report yesterday? Did you see this yesterday, this headline? Single dose of magic mushrooms provides 5 years of depression relief. 67% of depressed patients long after the treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Let me give you this before I forget and I get short on time. And of course, Fox News, like they don't make enough money on not playing ads. Anyway, here is the psychedelic bullseye. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of lucky people in this room. Why? Like me, who got to invest in Demerex. So the closer to the bullseye a company is, the closer to approval. Ladies and gentlemen, I sat with Ibogaine. I was a drinker. I don't know if you can be a good drinker. I was a bad drinker. After a single session of Ibogaine, and I don't want to make it sound like, hey, it was just a session. It was one of the most challenging things I've done in my life. It wasn't fun. It wasn't recreational. It saved and changed my life. I couldn't look at, if I couldn't smell alcohol. If I smelled alcohol, it made me dry heave. Demerex is developing, I'm not calling it a drug, it's a medicine for AUD, alcohol use disorder. Approximately 40 million Americans that are diagnosed, and there's a bunch of other folks who ain't going to tell anybody they probably have alcohol use disorder. And then I forget the hundreds of millions around the world. That's a privately owned company. If you want to potentially invest in that, shoot me an email. I'll let you know and turn you over to the CFO. I don't know if we're full from that round. Anyway, this is the psychedelic bullseye. There are several publicly traded psychedelic companies. Cybin is a great one. They came out with insanely good results a couple days ago. The stock went down 30%. We're going to go talk about that. Buy the rumor, sell the news. A tie up here is another one. Compass, or was it Compass? No, it wasn't. It was Compass, not whatever. I'm going to ripple off real quick a list of publicly traded psychedelic names I would buy with both hands. Did you see Trump's FDA commissioner? Where is it? I have all these under my bookmarks. Trump's FDA commissioner says psychedelics are a top priority for the administration. There it is right here. There's the headline. Exploring psychedelic medicine is a top priority for the Trump administration. The FDA commissioner. Did you see when I was in D.C. that the president nominated a new surgeon general? Did you see what she said? Psychedelic, psilocybin mushrooms helped save my life and helped me find love. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Surgeon General nominee of the United States. I'm old enough to remember in August under Joe Biden, MDMA went up to the FDA for a review. Denied. Why? Big Pharma. It's a new FDA with a new commissioner who said psychedelics are a top priority. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't give you any more commit criteria for jumping into this sector yesterday. Now, they're all lying. Well, that's a distinct possibility. RFK Jr., Secretary Collins, the FDA commissioner, the Surgeon General, fill in the blank. They're all lying. Well, then I'm going to lose some money. If you don't think they're lying and something's going to happen, you got to buy this sector with both hands. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a must buy, this sector. Now, before I ripple off some of the names, if you don't like, I'm going to give you the best analogy ever. This is the internet 1999. On that psychedelic bullseye, there's a Google, there's an Amazon, there's a pets.com and a Netscape. You pick the wrong two, you're broke. You pick the right two, you're rich. That's the warning, folks. All of these companies, look at the outside of the wheel here. It shows you what they're focusing on psilocybin. This is ibogaine up here. This is MDMA. This is LSD. So it's all different medicines. It's all different. I'm in Demerex. I'm on the board of advisors. It's, for alcohol use disorder. Over here, they're using psilocybin for Parkinson's. So they're all different studies with these medicines. These are biotech names, technically, folks, which, breaking news, Immunogen is down 80% in 1 minute. That happened in Chicago. I fired the trader who lost $4 million. He got around our risk management protocols. You weren't allowed to trade biotechs in our firm. Why? Because of that reason. He lost $4 million in a minute. So you can also see the exact opposite. Breaking news, Demerex has been acquired by Janssen or Pfizer, and the stock's up 8 million % right now. That can happen too. So I'm going to warn you, though. This is the internet 99. We could have a com boom here, folks. Let me be clear. However, I'm also on the board of a company called HRT, Healing Realty Trust. It is a private company right now where we might go public, but kind of like Bitcoin. I don't get Bitcoin. I think it's a Ponzi scheme. I don't get any crypto. I think it's dumb. Good luck to you if you do. I don't. I like the infrastructure. I like chips. I like the power. I like the guts of crypto. I don't get any of the crypto. It makes zero sense to me. I like the power. I like the infrastructure. Same thing with psychedelics. When, not if, these medicines are legal, and if you listen to RFK and he says the next 12 months, your veterans will not be doing an ibogaine journey in a VA clinic with people in a waiting room with National Geographic magazines from 1982 right there on wax paper on an examining room table. The infrastructure doesn't exist. So we, in Healing Realty Trust, are buying up around all these hospital campuses, existing MOBs, medical office buildings, and we are slowly repurposing them into healing clinics. Yeah, we're that smart. So why am I rambling about that, Wiz? It's a private, we can't get into it. Well, maybe you can get rid of it. Shoot me an email. I don't know whatever. If you're interested in Demerex or the REIT, let me know. But here, AHR. AHR, ladies and gentlemen, is called American Healthcare REIT. They are copying us. You're welcome. They went public last February. The stock is up 173% in essentially a year and a half. Look at that. American Healthcare REIT, AHR. So if you don't like the psychedelic names, they're lottery tickets, Wiz, you go for the infrastructure. Here's another one, Sabra. It's a little bit more stable, not as exciting as the REIT or AHR, but look at this for all my dividend people. 6.5% dividend. There are a lot of TGO members that have bought Sabra and they sell covered calls against their long stock position and they make a shitload of money on a dividend. That's one of the highest dividend stocks I've seen. And the chart's solid. I mean, it's a good looking name, right? Now that Psychedelic, back here when we talked about buying it, you're up 59% in this one. I mean, at its high when it peaked out right around the election and Trump and everybody bullish, it was up 68%. So here's two conservative names if you don't like the lotto ticket names up here. What time is it? Man, I got 15 minutes. I'm gonna ripple through the names that I like. MindMed, MNMD. So ladies and gentlemen, MindMed. I would go out to September right effing now and buy these calls right here, the 8th. Why? I have it on incredibly good authority that about a month ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, the FDA picked up the phone and called MindMed. Oh my God, that's bad. Yeah, it usually is. 99.9% of the time when the FDA reaches out to you as one of these companies, you're in a lot of trouble. What happened was the FDA said, what's the holdup with your MM120? Can we help in any way to speed this up? Wow. Now, sadly or not, the answer was, well, we're in the whatever trials and the trials are on track. They're like, okay, good. When the second the trial's done, you let us know. I've heard they might even, this is a rumor, I'm not saying a fact. I've even in my little network, like they might get an emergency use order type of thing from the FDA. That's how backward bending the FDA is with these companies right now. Folks, I don't care if you love Donald Trump. I don't care if you hate him. First of all, if you hate anybody, you got issues and you should microdose. Remember that God, whatever word you choose to use, I'll use God, loves your enemy as much as you. Once you realize that, your life changes. However, so the FDA, ladies and gentlemen, emergency use if things don't speed up. Love or hate Donald Trump, the man does what he says. Last month, I yelled in this office. One day, it was on my calendar, folks, the 100th day of the Trump administration. I had a calendar reminder. I'm that type of guy. It says, if you haven't heard a word about psychedelics in the past 100 days out of this administration, take a flamethrower to him. And I did. If you look at that article, I flamed the VA secretary. He responded to that tweet, which I thought was pretty cool. Wiz, we're trying. I'm on it. I promise you. I'm like, wow, guy answered my tweet. I woke up the next morning. He sent me a direct message. Wiz, want to meet you. We're trying, man. I'd like your help. And holy crap. Thanks, Mr. Secretary. Between that direct message, the next day, it was a cabinet meeting. At least Fox covered it live. I don't like his cabinet meetings, to be honest with you. It's every secretary gets 2 minutes to say how great Trump is and how great they are. I don't like that shit. I don't like the apple polishing. Anyway, Secretary Collins polished the apple for 2 minutes and Trump leaned forward and looked to his left. And what did he say? Secretary Collins, what's up with veteran suicide? Never in my life have I heard a president ask, what's up with veteran suicide? So that shocked me. But you know what shocked me even more? This was the day after the VA secretary communicated with me directly. He said, Mr. President, we've been throwing money at this for years and it doesn't work. Matter of fact, the numbers are getting worse. There are some veteran nonprofits out there working with psychedelics, and we think they hold a lot of promise. We're going to look into it and, test and whatever, but pretty cool. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. My bride ran in the office, thought I was dying. I had tears in my eyes. 4 days later, I'm shaking his hand at his headquarters. So I bring this up in the sense that Trump, you got 60 days to de-nuke. Oh, yeah, well, maybe we'll think about it and we'll look at your deal. Day 61. Boom. It's so funny that Democrats call him Taco. Trump always changes his mind. What? What are you shitting me? So one more time, I'm going to tell you, he might be lying. This is all bullshit, Wiz. Or Trump Republicans can't stand Big Pharma right now. Democrats are in bed with him. What happened to all the anti-war hippies from Woodstock? Never trust anybody over 30, never trust the government, or oh, you can't inject something in my arm. They're all aged boomers frothing at the mouth with their masks on, demanding you get your 8th vax. The parties have flipped. Okay? So I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say that, first of all, buy these calls with both hands because it's going to be sooner rather than later that my sources are telling me. Okay? There's that. Now, I mean, you could go out even further into the future and buy some calls. We can talk about this when you become a member and dig deeper into this because I feel like I'm rushing for the sake of time, but I've got to go get ready for, I think I'm going to shave. If I'm talking about Raising Cane, I'm going to do that. So I don't want to talk like this, but I'm going to talk like this. If you are sitting in your CEO office at Pfizer right now with your cigar and your Wall Street Journal and a big bag of money, and you just read a Fox News report that says 67% of patients who did psilocybin 5 years later are cured of their depression, what does that do to you? You should freak the hell out. Big Pharma needs customers. There is no money in healing. Again, I'm going to tell you, I hate talking like this, but I am surgical with this stuff. I know what I'm doing. Sadly, Pfizer, Janssen, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson will eventually swoop in and scoop all these companies up. As Wiz, I'm going to hate it. As Gordon Gekko, I'm going to be filthy rich. So I'm kind of stuck. Anyway, I'll pretend I'm Gordon Gekko for this. There is no way any of these. Last time I went to Psychedelic Science, I'm like, the guys in the khaki pants and polo shirts, they're either feds or they're big pharma plants checking everything out. And in the old days, they were the same people under Joe Biden. So most likely, and folks, I know some of the CEOs of these psychedelic companies. So MindMed, Atai. Ladies and gentlemen, I know these guys, they do not want this to happen. However, they don't have a say in it. What are you talking about, Wiz? The CEO of a publicly traded company has what? Say it with me. A fiduciary duty to who? To cure people. Wrong. They have a fiduciary duty to who? The shareholders. So if I'm the CEO of Atai, I want to heal people with these medicines and go to heaven. That's great, Wiz. The CEO of Pfizer's on line 1, and you won't believe how many zeros are on the check he just sent. It's over with. Now, I pray that these pharma companies do what? Use this. There is a distinct possibility they put them on the shelf. It is my job as your flight instructor to brief you on potential threats. I guess that's a threat to humanity. It's not a threat to being long-term bullish on these names because that would be the best thing to ever happen. Now, let me be clear, ladies and gentlemen. Healing's free. Man, I have psilocybin in my yard. Natural. Iboga is from Gabon, Africa. San Pedro, mescaline is in the Arizona, New Mexico, northern Mexico. 5-MeO-DMT, the Bufo alvarius toad is hopping around. God put these things on this planet for us to heal for free. So no matter what, if a tie gets bought by Pfizer Okay, well, we just created something called Ibogaine and it's 10 grand a month to use. Guess what? I can hook you up with Iboga. So, in this part of the brief is where I say I'm torn as an investor. I'm thrilled as a human, as Wiz. I'm miserable. Healing should be, not should be, healing is free, but there is no money in healing. So, if you don't want to quote gamble, there is a psychedelic ETF. There's a basket of stocks. Wiz, I don't want to pick winners. I want somebody else to do it. Look at that, man. It was at a low of 7 and it got, wow, it doubled. In the past 7 months, this ETF has doubled. Write this down. PSIL. SIL. Wiz, I don't want to pick winners. Well, then go, if you buy the ETF and we can do options on it and stuff like that, let's look at what is in this basket of stocks. Oh, just about all the names you just covered, Wiz. There's some Atai, there's MindMed, Sage, there's Cybin. Sage is a good company. Oh, Quantum is at the yeah, Quantum. So, folks, you don't have go buy the ETF, baby. And yes, before you even ask, you can do options on this ETF. 1111, that is God saying, Wiz, you are on the right path. You could go out to Jan of 26 on this ETF and buy some upside calls, man. We can focus on all of this stuff. And my apologies for squeezing this in after Raytheon. I just had to because we're done after today, and I'm going to do solo Amazon tomorrow. But folks, in AR, every Wednesday at 10 a.m., Accelerated Retirement, we take a deep dive into the psychedelics, okay? All right, I got a couple minutes left. I'm going to try and answer some questions, but again, perfect demonstration of why I don't like a shitload of people in here. No offense, but I can't, we can't have too many because usually during a regular brief, I see a little hand raised or somebody asks a question, I go answer it. I can't with 200 and 300 people in here or whatever, okay? So based on the 2 buzzes, there's 12 memberships for Full Throttle left, okay? Monday, ladies and gentlemen, I made $3,000 on the S&P 500. That was a no-brainer. That was like shooting fish in a barrel. I paid for an annual membership Monday. The first day of free Full Throttle training, I paid for your membership. There ain't nobody else out there that does this, folks. They're going to give you 50 PowerPoint slides with old trades that they placed 20 years ago. Oh, join, and then I'll show you what I do. Wrong. Back when I used to go to the industry events, people used to dude, you're making us look bad. A week of free stuff. Why don't you at least charge for the week? I'm like, nah. That's because when people are like, do you have a free trial at Top Gun Options? I'm like, yeah, I just did it. It was 4 days for free. Here are the replays. So you are in, and by day 3, if I haven't proved that I know what I'm doing, we just did a long-term bullish trade on a defense stock into the future. I saved you 12 grand. Yesterday, we did a bullish trade on America that could make 100 grand. And Monday, I did 3 quick sniper shots, before lunch, essentially, and made 3 grand. I know what I'm doing, folks. Join today. This is where almost everybody ends up. And then we have 220 people in our lifetime. We can talk about that down the road. This gives you access to everything except solo Amazon tomorrow. It's separate. But folks, the Hunters monthly is, I want to try out for a couple months, but I want access to those S&P 500 sniper shot trades. That's the trial into the Hunters. Okay? Do this for a couple months. Then you shoot me an email like, dude, I'm good. Upgrade me into this because it's a 50% discount, technically, right? Now, if you just want to be more of a tire kicker, I need more than these 4 days. It's $295. I'm a professional. My time is valuable. So it ain't free. You got your 3 days free so far. It's right there. Okay. $295. When I used to be a drinker, that would be an average nice bottle of wine for me. And you know what? To be clear, folks, I feel like a failure. Marcus, JJ, JT, and Robert haven't had a drink in 4 years. I can have a glass of wine. Isn't that cool? Why is that cool, Wiz? Because old Wiz could never have a glass of wine. Wiz had a glass of wine. The glass meant the bottle, not a bottle, probably two. Shit, maybe even three. Now, if Susie's made a nice ribeye or some pasta, would you like a glass of cab? You know what? Yeah. And then that's it. I actually look at that as victory. And to be honest with you, I still regret it the next day because I get like a headache. I'm like, that was a waste. So anyway, any questions on joining? Jan, Wiz at DR, did you issue and sell call near term on it? I have no idea what DR is. Doug, are you doing lifetimers? Does Full Throttle include hunters? Yes. Yep. Absolutely, Doug. Lifetime, if you're interested in lifetime, help. Here's the, if you're interested in lifetime link, you can join lifetime. If you want, there's the link to learn more about that. I have no idea what DR is. Oh, Raytheon. Yeah, Jan, I did. I sold a call out to Friday. I sent out the alert. It's in the hunters right now. It's right here. So go, it's right there. Go look in the hunters. I sold the 143 call. All right, I'm going to ripple through questions because the Fox people are coming at 11:30. Donna, where's the retirement account addressed? Is it separate? I was just looking at it today. Could the American trade be done with the mini? Elaine, yeah, you could. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for all your work. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right, Debbie. Martha Stewart, man. So congressmen, senators, Nancy Pelosi can do insider trading, but they send Martha Stewart to prison. And I think she lost money, didn't she? I think, doesn't that suck? So the government comes after you for insider trading and you ended up losing money. That happened to some people in Chicago when I was up there. They did some insider trading and ended up losing money and they still got in trouble. It's not worth it. So, Donna, so accelerated retirement is part of Full Throttle. Okay. It's one of these packages. Donna, if you just want to do accelerated retirement, it's only $96 a month, but that's all you get access to is this Wednesday brief. Okay. But there aren't too many people who just do AR. They want access to all the other stuff, but there's the link. If you just want AR, it's that. It's $96 a month or like it's cheaper to do the annual. I think it's like $960 for the year. Remember, folks, if you just do solo Amazon or just do accelerated retirement, you do not get options weapons school. Not included. It's an upsell of like $297. Okay. That's why you should do Full Throttle because all that stuff is included there. Okay. Okay. Any other? Let me take a look real quick. One more time. This is the link for that. Yeah, Scott, isn't that what happens? They always get you with the it's not the crime, it's the cover up, right? She ended up lying to the FBI. That's why you don't talk to the FBI. You don't say anything. You don't. I mean, Lieutenant General Flynn got screwed by the FBI, right? I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. So, but folks, this made my heart smile yesterday. It wasn't Jerome Powell's testimony. The guy has no idea what he's doing. It was RFK. Within 12 months. So if anything, Wiz, I like these psychedelic names. Go out past 12 months. We can do this when you join. I can cover stuff like this. Go out, a year and a half from now and be bullish on the options. Give yourself a little bit of room. Me, I bought some MindMed $8 calls out to September, and I think they're going to do pretty damn good. Okay. Do you get more trade recs with the Hunter program versus Full Throttle? Folks, Hunters and Full Throttle are the same thing. I don't know if I suck at explaining things. Full Throttle is the Hunters, folks, and vice versa. This is a monthly trial of Full Throttle, essentially. Okay, let me say it like that. So this is I want to try everything for a couple months. Not a ton of people do this, to be honest. Maybe I'll even get rid of this option. This is where most people end up. You don't get access to the Hunters, to that investment club. with my sniper shots, okay? But this, I made this one, folks, because they're like, Wiz, I kind of want access to everything for a couple months to keep checking stuff out. That's this one, folks. But if you're asking that type of question, just do the annual now. I mean, that's the best thing to do, in my opinion, obviously. Okay. This is the tire kicking. All right. Just kind of read on the page. It kind of says everything. This is the best deal. This is the serious tire. I'll say it like that. This is serious tire kicker. This is serious. I'm ready right now, dude. You made $3,000 the first day. I trust you. This is the, I'm gonna still hang out for a little bit. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I got to go clean up, man. Throw on a suit or something like that for this interview for General Kane for his documentary on Fox. I'll let you know when that's going to come out. Oh, yeah. Somebody asked earlier. I wasn't ignoring you. If you want a microdose, folks, this is where you get it right here. GetMaverickMind.com. The morning brief I take in the morning, and then I take the night duty about an hour before bed. I sleep like a baby, folks. And if you want our merch, it's right here, folks. There's our coin. There's our OG hat right there. These are our Maverick Mind logoed products. That's our psychedelic fighter pilot. The microdosing, folks, I swear by it. 100% natural. You can look at the testimonials. You can ask your fellow TGO members who are taking it. It is a game changer, folks. It's the new glass of wine. You don't need any of that stuff. Thank you, Simone. I appreciate that. I'm gonna grab that. That's a good testimonial. Thank you, Simone. Because you're a relatively newer member too, right? Thank you for that. And then some Debbie. Did I see a Debbie comment up there? Simone, I'm going to add that. Thank you for that. These are unsolicited case studies. Thank you for I love when, because right now, technically, all the potential new members are in here with current members. I love my current members speaking up for me. Worth it. And then, I mean, you guys can obviously go check out Trustpilot and all that type of stuff, but we know what we're doing. Thank you, Scott. Lifetime. Debbie is wearing her No Fallen Heroes cap. I love that, Debbie. That is fantastic. Oh, that's awesome, Martin. The VA said that. So Debbie said the options education is well worth the investment alone. That's not counting the money you make on any trades. So Options Weapon School, for all the folks who are getting ready to join, your first order of business is to download the Go Collab website, and then is to options education, and then it is to start watching your Options Weapon School training. Go start watching session 1, even if you know what you're doing. I know how to trade options. What's the motto at Top Gun? If you think you're good, we'll make you better. I guarantee you, our training will make you better. But hey, go order some Maverick Mind, man. Try microdosing. It's fantastic. And remember, with microdosing, you don't feel anything. Well, that doesn't make sense. It does. How do I know I'm microdosing? When I'm stuck in traffic on I-95 and it's a parking lot at 3 p.m, I don't want to get out of my car with a high-powered weapon. I sit there and I'm like, oh, I actually feel okay. That's microdosing. I mean, if you feel something, it's just going to be an elevated sense of a little bit of happiness. That's usually, if I do kind of feel something, I'm like, I'll dial it back tomorrow type of thing. So it's a little bit of test. It's so funny. People are like, oh my God, I'm scared. You're not supposed to feel anything, or you won't. I mean, if you do, all it's going to be is a little bit of like, hey, why am I so happy right now? And then you just dial it back the next day. All right, I got to go. I went way too long. Again, 12 or 11 Full Throttle memberships. We're done with Full Throttle today. Tomorrow, I'm going to cover our gateway service called Solo Amazon, and we're going to place a couple Amazon trades tomorrow. Amazon is separate from Full Throttle. It's its own standalone service. So if you join Full Throttle, almost everybody who joins one of these programs ends up being in Solo Amazon too, as well. God bless you, Debbie. God bless everybody. Scott, Kevin, you're welcome, my brother. I'll get the replay posted here shortly. Don't forget, this is the replay page. Let me give you that real quick before I forget. This is the replay page. One more brief tomorrow. Reminder, nobody else in the industry does this. They hide behind slides and old trades and everything. I do it live. Could have lost money this week. I didn't, and I rarely do. Have a great rest of your day. Fights on. Namaste. And basi basi. Wiz out. See you tomorrow.